Welcome guys. So hello guys, welcome to Ashutosh Coaching Center. Now today we are going to chapter evolution and the chapter number is 7. Okay. Now starts evolutionary. Evolutionary biology is a study of history of life forms on the earth. Okay. And what exists exactly is evolution to understand that the changes in flora and the fauna that have occurred over millions years of the earth. We must have an understanding of the concept of the origin of life, that is evolution of the earth, of stars, and indeed of the universe itself. What follows is the longest of the all constructed conjectured conjectured and stories. This is a story of origin of life and the evolution of the life forms or biodiversity or planet earth in the context of evolution of earth and against the background of evolution of the universe itself. The origin of life 7.1. Okay, when we look at the stars on clearly at the sky, we are in a way and look at back in the time. Stellar distance are measured in a light years. Okay, and what we today is an object. What we see today is an object whose immediate light started its journey millions of years back from trillions of kilometers away and reaching our eyes now. However, when we see the object in our immediate surrounding, we see them instantly and the enhance in the present time. Therefore, when we start we apparently are peeing into the past. The origin of life is considered a unique event in the history of universe. The universe is vast, and relatively speaking, the Earth itself is almost only a speck. The universe is very okay. The universe is very old, almost 20 billion years old. यूनिवर्स जो है लगभग लगभग 20 बिलियन ईयर पुराना है. ओके, एंड अप्रोक्सीमेट. ओके, नाउ ऑलमोस्ट 20 बिलियन ईयर्स ओल्ड है हमारा यूनिवर्स. Huge cluster and of galaxies comprises the universe. Okay, and galaxy contain stars, clouds to gas, dust, and the considering the size of universe, Earth is indeed a speck. A Big Bang theory attempt to explain to us the origin of universe. It talks us of a singular huge explosion, ima- unimaginable, and in physical terms the universe expanded and hence the temperature came down. Hydrogen and helium formed sometimes later, and gases condensed under gravitation and formed galaxy of the present in the universe. In the solar system of the Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to have been formed 4.5 billion years back. Then there was no atmosphere on early Earth. ओके, अर्थ पे जो था 4.5 बिलियन 4.5 बिलियन ईयर्स के पहले जो था कोई भी एटमोसफेयर नहीं हुआ करता था. Water vapor, methane, and the carbon dioxide and ammonia released on the molten mass covered the surface. UV rays from the sun broke up water into hydrogen gas or and the oxygen and the lighter H2 escape. Oxygen and the combined with ammonia and the methane to form a water and the CO2 and other, and the ozone was formed. Ozone layer was formed, and as it cooled, water vapor fell as rain and to fill depression and form the ocean. Life appeared at 500 million years after combination of Earth. Life जो धरती पे कम से कम 500 मिलियन के बाद आना शुरू हो गया था. ओके, वेरी गुड. Did the life comes from the outer space? Some scientists believe that it came out from outside. Earlier Greek thinkers thought that the unit of life sum is called spore. जो पहले के जो ग्रीक साइंटिस्ट, मतलब ग्रीक साइंटिस्ट थे ना, या फिर ग्रीक थिंकर जो थे, वो उन्हें कहना था कि लाइफ जो है वो एक, मतलब लाइफ का जो यूनिट ऑफ स्पोर्ट होता है, एंड वर ट्रांसफर्ड टू different planets, including Earth. The Persepian is a still favorite idea for the astronomer, and for a long time it was also a belief that the life came out decaying and rotting material like straw and mud etc. And this was the theory of spontaneous generation, and Louis Pasteur by the carefully experimental and demonstrated that life comes only for the pre-existing life. Okay, मतलब एक लाइफ से दूसरा लाइफ स्टार्ट हुआ था। तो तीन चार नाम है जिसका आप नाम याद रख सकते हैं, जैसे हमारा एक लुइस पास्चर भी आ गए, लुइस पास्चर का नाम ध्यान में रखें तो ज़्यादा बेटर होगा। और फिर से दूसरा हमारा है पर्सपियन, जो है इनका भी नाम ध्यान रखो, और ये ग्रीन स्पोर्ट्स का भी तो ध्यान रखना ही रखना है। ओके, हाँ, अब आगे था हमारा, यस, पर्सपियन स्टिल फेवरेट, मतलब आगे याद हो तो कोई दिक्कत था नहीं। हाँ, word transfer different planets including the, and Scorpion is still a favorite idea for the some astronomers. For a long time it was believed on the life came out from dead and decaying, out of decaying or rotting matter like a straw, mud etc. This was a theory of spontaneous generation. Louis Pasteur by the careful experimental demonstrated that the life comes only for a pre-existing life, and he showed that in pre sterilized flask, life did not come from the killed yeast, while in another flask open to air, new living organism arose killed yeast. Spontaneous generation theory was dismissed once and for all. However, this did not answer how the first life forms came on the earth. Operins and Russian Halden, England proposed the first form of life could have come, and the pre-existing non-living organism molecules. Example: RNA, protein. Okay, huh. And that the formation of life was preceded by the chemical evolution, that is formation of diverse organic molecules or from the inorganic constituent. The condition of the earth were high temperature volcanic storms and reducing the atmosphere containing CH4, NH3 and etc. In 1953, Miller of American scientists created a similar condition in a laboratory scale. Figure 7.1. He created an electric discharge on a in a closed flask containing a CH4, NH2, NH3 and water vapor at 800 degrees Celsius. He observed that the formation of amine acid in similar experiment observed that the formation of sugar, nitrogen base and the pigment of and fats analyzed and the meteorites and the meteorite content also released similar compound indicating that the similar processes are occurring elsewhere in space. Okay, and with this limited evidence, this part of conjectured story, that is the chemical evolution, was more or less as accepted. We have no idea about how the first self-replicating metabolic capsule of life arose. The first non-cellular forms of life have originated 3 billion years back. They would have been giant molecules, RNA, protein. हाँ, इस फिगर को भी आप ध्यान में रख ले तो ज़्यादा बेटर होगा मेरे ख्याल से, क्योंकि जितने ये फिगर है वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं। ये मिलर एक्सपेरिमेंट है, के बारे में जानना ज़्यादा बेटर होगा। नाउ polysaccharide etc. These capsules produce their molecules. Perhaps the first cellular form of life did not possible originated till about 2000 million years ago. These were a probably single cell. All life forms were in environment, not only water, मतलब बोलते हैं ना, all life forms in the water environment only, मतलब जितने भी लाइफ फॉर्म है वही से लाइफ फॉर्म स्टार्ट हुए। ओके, द वर्शन ऑफ बायोजेनेसिस, that is the first form of life advances slowly through the evolutionary forces and from the non-living molecules is accepted by the majority. However, once formed the how the first cellular forms and of life could have evolved into the complex biodiversity of that today is the fascinating story that will be discussed below. 7.2 Evolution of the life forms, a theory. Conventional religious literature tell us about the theory of spatial creation, and this theory has three connotation. Okay, and one that all the organism species or types that we see today created, such as to that the diversity was always the same since the creation and will the same in future. Also, three, the earth is about 4,000 years old. Okay, and all these ideas were strongly challenged during the 19th century based on the observation made during a sea voyage in a sail ship called HMS Beagle. तो HMS Beagle क्या है, इसकी भी ध्यान रखना. राउंड. ओके, राउंड द वर्ल्ड एंड द चार्ल्स डार्विन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. चार्ल्स डार्विन इंक्लूड दैट द एग्जिस्टिंग ऑफ लाइफ फॉर्म्स शेयर सिमिलैरिटी टू वेरिएशन डिग्री एंड नॉट ओनली among themselves but also with the life forms that existed millions of years ago. Okay, many such life forms do not exist anymore. There had been extinction of different life forms, and in the years gone by, the just as a new forms of life arose at period of history of Earth. There has been gradual evolution of life forms. Any population has built in the variation in the characteristic, those characteristics which enable us some to survive better in natural condition, climate, food, physical factor, etc. Would outbreed other that are less endowed to survive that under such natural condition. In other words, used its is it fitness to of the individual or population. The fitness according to Darwin refers ultimately the reproduced fitness, and hence those are better in environmental and leaves more progeny other than other, and these therefore will be survive more and hence are selected by nature. And he called its natural selection, implied it's as a mechanism of evolution. Let us also remember that the Alfred Wallace के बारे में जान लो, a naturalist who worked in a Malay archipel क्या बोलते हैं archaeology had also come to similar conclusion around the same time. It is due course of time, apparently new type of organism and recognizable. All the existing life forms shared similarities and share common ancestor. However, these ancestors were present at the different period in the history of Earth, epochs, periods, and eras. The geological history of Earth closely correlated with the biological history of Earth. A common permissible conclusion is that Earth is very old, not thousands of years through earlier, but billions years old. समझ रहे हो भाई, 1,000 साल भी नहीं, सीधे बिलियन साल. 7.3 What are the evidence for evolution? Evidence that the evolution of life forms has indeed take place on the earth has come for many quarter. Okay, and the fossil are remain hard parts of life forms in rocks. Rocks form sediment, and a cross section of earth crust indicate the arrangement of sediment and one over other during a long history of earth. Different age rock sediment contain fossils of different life forms who probably died during the formation of the particular sediment. Some of them appear similar to modern organisms and they represent extinct organisms. Example, dinosaur. The study of fossil fuel is different sedimentary layers indicate the geological period and in which they existed. The study showed that life forms varied over time. Certain life forms are restricted to certain geological time span. ओके, हाँ, टाइम स्पैम। उसके बाद क्या बोल रहा है, हेंस अ न्यू फॉर्म ऑफ लाइफ अराइजेंट एट टाइम्स ऑफ हिस्ट्री हाउ अर्थ ऑल द ऑल दिस इज कॉल्ड पैलेंथोलॉजिकल एविडेंस। इस सब को क्या बोलते हैं, पैलेंथोलॉजिकल एविडेंस। डू यू रिमेंबर how the age of fossil fuel are calculated? Do you recollect the method of radioactive dating and the principle behind the procedure? Embryologically support for the evolution was also proposed by the Ernst Haeckel. ये जो है ना इकोलॉजिकल सपोर्ट ऑफ इवोल्यूशन जो है वो अर्नस्ट हैकल ने दिया था। ओके, हाँ, उसके बाद क्या है, is based upon the observation of certain feature during the embryonic stage common to all the vertebrae that are absent in adult. For example, the embryo of all vertebrae including the human develop or raw in vestigial, okay, gill slit just behind the head, but it is a functional organ only in fish and not found in any other adult vertebrate. However, this is proposal was disapproved on careful studied performed and by the Carl Ernst on that, okay. Huh. He noted that the embryos never pass through the adult stages of other animals. Comparative anatomy and the morphology shows the similarities and differences among organisms of today and those that existed years ago. देखो ये सब हमारा डायनासोर के पहले की प्रजाति दे रखी है, जैसे कुछ में नाम है दे रखा है हमारा, जैसे कि हो गया हमारा ट्राइसीरेटॉप्स एंड ट्राइनासोरस, फिर हमारा है टेराडोडोन, फिर है क्रोकोडाइन, फिर है हमारा आर्कियोटेरिक्स, फिर हमारा स्टेगोसोरस, फिर हमारा ब्रैकियोसोरस। इस नाम को बहुत ही ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट वे में है, तो इसको याद कर ले तो ज़्यादा बेटर होगा। ओके ओके, इस चीज़ का आप स्क्रीनशॉट ले ले और ये याद कर ले, बिकॉज ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। ये पूरा एक फैमिली है डायनासोर का। ओके, अब हम जान लेते हैं, such similarity can be interpreted to understand whether common ancestors were shared or not. For example, whale, bat, cheetah, and the human, all mammals, are share similarities in the pattern of bones, forelimbs. Those are limbs. These four limbs perform different functions in these animals. They have similar anatomical structure. All of them have humerus, radius, ulna, carpal, metacarpal, phalangein. ओके, जितने भी जो मतलब कहते नहीं है उसके फोर लिम्ब है, फोर लिम्ब में क्या क्या होता है, ह्यूमरस, अल्ना, कार्पल, मेटाकार्पल एंड फ्लेंजिन। ओके, in their forelimbs, and hence in these animals same structure developed along different direction and due to the adaptation to different needs, and this divergent evolution, and these structure are homologous, and the homology indicate the common ancestor. Other example are vertebrae, hearts, or brain in plant also thorn and tendrils of, okay, tendrils of Bougainvillea and Cucurbita represent homology. Figure 7.3a. Homology is based on the divergent evolution, whereas analogy refers to a situation exactly opposite. And wings of butterfly and of orchid and look like. Okay, they are not anatomical similar structure, though they perform similar function, hence analogous, and structural are result of convergent evolution, and different structure evolving for the same function and hence having, okay, similarities. Other example of analogy of are the eye of octopus and the of mammals, or the flippers of penguins, dolphins, and one can say that it is the similar habitat that has resulted in the selection of similar adaptive features in different group of organisms but towards the same function. Hmm. Sweet potato root modification and potato steam modification. Example analogies. Okay. Yes. Now it's over. Oh, आ गए थे. In the same line of argument, similarities in the proteins and genes performing a given function and among diverse organisms give us clues to common ancestors. These biochemical similarities point to the same shared ancestry as structural similarities among diverse organisms. Man has bred selected plant and animals for agriculture, horticulture, and security. Okay, huh. And man has domesticated by many wild animals, crops, and this intensive breeding program has created breed and that differ from the other breeds, example dogs, but still are of the same group. And it's argued that if within 100 of years man could created a breed have done the same over the millions of years. Okay, another investigation observation supporting evolution by the natural selection comes out from the England in a collection of moth is made up in 1950, and that is before the industrialization in set in. It was observed that there were more white winged moth on tree that were dark winged and melanized moths, and however in the collection of carried by the same area, but after integration in that is in 1920, and there were more dark winged moths in the same area in the proportion was reserved. इस फोटो को आप ध्यान से देख लीजिए और इसको रट लीजिए. देखिए ये हमारे जो है मैन है, चीता है, वेल है और बैट है. कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग देखेंगे जितने भी मैमल्स होते हैं उन सब के पास मिनिमम जो होते हैं ये सब चीज़ तो कॉमन ही होते हैं. ओके, हाँ, बट होते ज़रूर है. किसी में कार्पेल बड़ा होगा, किसी में बेटा कार्पेल बड़ा होगा, लेकिन होगा तो. ये मैटर नहीं करता क्या बड़ा होने, तो दोनों में है तो बस. The explanation put forth of this observation was that the predators will spot a mouth against contrasting background. During the post of industrialization period, the tree trunk became dark due to the industrial smoke and spots. Okay, under this condition, the white wingle, the moth did not survival due to the predators, and dark wingle and manalized moth survived before the industrialization set in. The thick growth of almost white colored lichen covered the trees. In that background, the white wingle and moth survived, but in the dark colored moth were picked out by the predators. Do you know that the lichen can be used as an industrial pollution indicator? They will not grow in area that are polluted. Hence, moths are able to camouflage, okay, and themselves hide in the background and survived. The understanding is supported by the fact that in areas and where industrialization did not occur, example in rural areas, the count of melanic moth was low, and this showed that in the mixed population those can be better adapt, survive, and increase population rise. Remember that no variant is completely wiped out. Similarly, the excess of herbicides and pesticides etc. It has only resulted in the selection of resistant varieties in a much lesser than time scale. This is also true for the microbes against which we employ antibiotic or drugs against the eukaryotic organism cell. Hence, the resistant organism cells are appearing in a time scale of months or years and not centuries. These are examples of evolution and by the anthropogenic action. This also tell us that evolution is not a directed process in the sense of determinism. In a stochastic processes based on the chance events in nature and chance mutation in the organism. What is adaptive radiance? What is adaptive radiation? During his journey, Darwin went Galapagos Island, and there, if he observed amazing diversity of capture of particular interest, small black birds, later called Darwin finches, amazed him. He realized that there were many finches in same island. All the variety he conjectured evolved on the island itself from the orga- original seed-eating featured. Many other life forms with alternate beaks arose, enabling them become to insectivorous and vegetarian fishes. Figure 7.5. This process of evolution different and species is given geographical area are starting a point and literally radiating to other areas of geographical habitat is called adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation में क्या होता है, बहुत सारे जो छोटे जीव होते हैं वो खुद को रेडिएशन के अकॉर्डिंग खुद को अडेप्ट कर लेते हैं, समझ रहे हो ना? ऐसा कुछ है क्या? नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Darwin finches represent one of the best example of this phenomena, and another example is the Australian marsupial, and a number of marsupial each different from each other. Figure 7.6, and evolved from each ancestor stock, but all within the Australian island continent when more than one adaptive radiation and appeared to have occurred is an आइसोलेटेड जोग्राफिकल एरिया रिप्रेजेंटिंग. देखो ये सब क्या है, मार्शुपियल है. मार्शुपियल मतलब क्या होता है, उसके पास एक बैग लाइक स्ट्रक्चर होता है जहाँ पे अपने बच्चे को स्टोर रखता है. इसका नाम जान ले तो ज़्यादा बेटर होगा मेरे ख्याल से आप लोग के लिए. यस, कोई दिक्कत की बात नहीं है. इसका ही पहले ही पिक ले लेते हैं और क्या. Different habitats. One can call the convergent evolution. Placenta mammals in Australia also exhibit adaptive radiation in the evolving into varieties of such placental mammals, of each of which appear to be similar and to corresponding marsupial. Example: placental wolf and the Tasmanian wolf marsupial. 7.5 Biological evolution. Evolution is by the natural selection in the true sense would have been started when a level cellular forms of life with different metabolic capability originated on the earth. The essence of Darwin theory but about the evolution is natural selection. The rate of appearance of a new forms is linked to life cycle, okay, or life cycle. Microbes that divide fast and ability to multiply and become millions of individuals within hours. A colony of bacteria and saying group of grown on a given medium has a built-in variation in the term of ability to utilize and feed component. A change in the medium and the composition would bring out only a part of population, say b, and that can be survive under a new condition in due to the course of time. This time variation population grow outgrow other and the others and the appears as new species, and this would happen within days, and for same times for same thing to happen in a fish or fall would take millions of years, as lifespan of these animals are in years. Here we fitness of the B is better than that of A under a new condition. Natural selection of for the fitness, one must remember that so-called fitness and based on the characteristics which are inherited. Inherited. Hence, there must be genetic basic for the genetic getting selected and to evolved. Another way of saying the same thing is that of some of better adapted to survive is in an otherwise hostile environment, adaptive ability, inherited, it has genetic basis. Fitness is the end result of ability to adapt and the get selected by nature. Okay, and the branching descent and the natural selection are the key concept of Darwin theory. ये काफ़ी मतलब कि ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है. Okay, even before even before Darwin, a French naturalist landmark had he had said that evolution of the life forms occurred but by the driven duos. I think man. ओके, दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट लाइन. आपको इसको याद कर लेना है कुछ भी करके. जितने मैंने लाइन टिक मार्क करवाए हैं उसको आप याद कर ले तो ज़्यादा बेटर होगा. ना आगे बढ़ते हैं अब. इसको ऊपर कर लेते हैं तो पढ़ने में आसानी होगा. स्टार्ट करते हैं. नाउ अब हमारा बात आता है देखने में ऑर्गेन्स. ही गेव द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ जिराफ who is an attempt to forage and lives on tall trees and had to adapt it by the elongation of their necks. Okay, and as they passed on acquired character of elonged elonged neck to the succeeding generation. Giraffe slowly over the years and came to acquire long neck, and nobody believed to the conjecture anymore. Is evolution a process or a result of a process? Or a result of process? The world that we see, initiate, and animate is only the success story of evolution. When we describe the story of this world, we describe the evolution of its history. Evolution has a process. On the other hand, when we describe the stages of life forms, we treat evolution considered as a process. Okay, then both can be happen. Okay. Hmm. And we are still not very clear whether regard evolution and the natural selection is as a process and or a end of result. It is end of a unknown process. It is possible that the work of Thomas Malthus on population influenced Darwin, and the natural selection is based on certain observations which are factual. For example, natural resources are limited, population are stable in size except for seasonal fluctuation. Members of a population vary in characterization. In fact, no two individuals are alike. Even though they look like superficial similar, most of the variation are inherited. Example, etc. and etc. And the fact that theoretical population size will grow exponentially if everybody reproduced maximally. This fact can be seen in a growing bacteria population. And the fact that population size in reality are limited means that there had been competition for the resources. Only some survived and grew the coast, other that could not flourish. The novelty and the brilliant insight of Darwin was this. He asserted that variation which are inheritable and which makes resources and utilization better for few and will enable only those to reproduce and live for progeny, and hence the period for a period of time for many over many generations survivors will lives more progeny, and there would be change in a population characteristic, and hence new life forms appear to rise. Now, mechanism of evolution. What is the origin of variation and how does its speciation occur? Even though the Mendel had to take and inherited factor influence phenotypic, and Darwin either the ignored these observation or kept silence. In the first decade 20th century, Hugo de Vries and based on his work on evening primrose brought forth the idea of mutation, the large difference arising suddenly in a population. He believed it is mutation which causes evolution and not minor variation. He inherited that Darwin talked about mutation and are random and directionless. While the Darwin variation are small and directional, evolution of for the Darwin was gradual, while the DeVries believed mutation caused speciation, and hence it is called sanitation. Okay, हाँ, सिंगल स्टेप म्यूचुएशन को हम लोग सैनिटेशन कहते हैं. कोई दिक्कत की बात तो नहीं होगी ना. And study in the population genetics later brought out some clarity. Now तो देख लेते हैं हार्डी विंगबर्ग प्रिंसिपल, ये भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. आगे देख लेते हैं. इन अ गिवन पॉपुलेशन वन कैन बी फाइंड द आउट ऑफ द फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑफ ऑक्यूरेंस एलील ऑफ अ जीन और ऑफ लोकस. The frequency is supposed to remain fixed and even remain the same through the generation, and the Hardy-Weinberg principle, and the stated it using algebraic equation. This principle said that the allele frequency in a population are stable and is constant from generation for generation to generation. Okay, and gene pool or total genes and their alleles in a population remain a constant. This is called genetic equilibrium, and some total of all allelic frequency is one individual. इसका भी आप फोटो ले लो, ज़्यादा बेटर होगा मेरे ख्याल से. ओके, गुड. नाउ देख लेते हैं आगे का. फ्रीक्वेंसी फॉर एग्जांपल can be named P, Q, etc. And in a diploid, P and Q are represent the frequency allele of A and allele of small a. The frequency of double A individual in a population simply P square. This simply stated that in another ways, that is the probability that allele A with a frequency of a P appear on both of the chromosome of a diploid individual is simply product of the probabilities, that is P square. Similarly, double A is equal to Q square of a 2pq, and hence the 2p square plus 2pq plus q square is equal to 1 is a binomial expansion. Okay, and when we frequency measure differ from the accept value, and the different direction indicated the extent of evolutionary changes, disturbance in genetic equilibrium or Hardy Weinberg equilibrium, that is change of frequency of allele in a population, would be interpreted as a result in evolution. 5 factors are known to affect Hardy Weinberg, and these are genes migration or gene flow, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, and the natural selection. And when the migration of a section of a population of another places and other places occur, and gene frequency changes in the original as well as in the new population. New genes and allele are added to a new population. Okay. Hmm. And these are lost old population, and there would be a flow in this, मतलब कि बोलते हैं ना फ्लो, यहाँ पे क्या टच फूटा हुआ था, हाँ, flow so differently and in the new sample population. Okay. आगे, and that they become a different species. The original drifted population become founder, and the effect is called founder effect. Okay. Microbial experiment shows that the pre-existing advantages and mutation when we selected, we will start in the observation of new phenotypic over a few generative. This would result in a speciation, and natural selection is the process which heritable variation and the enabling better survival are enabled to reproduce and leave greater number of progeny, and a critical analysis make us believe that the variation due to the mutation or variation due to the recombination during the gametogenesis or due to gene flow genetic drift and result in change frequency of gene and allele in future generation, coupled to enhance reproductive success. And natural selection makes look like a different population. Natural selection can be lead to stabilization in which more individual acquire mean character value and directional change, and more individual and acquire value other than the main character value or the description. More individuals acquire periheparal peri बोलते नहीं है peripheral characters value at the both end of the distribution curve. Figure 7.8 7.8 में फिगर दे रखा है। 7.8 में देखा जाए तो 7.8 क्या है, ब्रीफ अकाउंट ऑफ इवोल्यूशन अबाउट 2000 ईयर्स, मतलब 2000 साल पहले जो था, इसको 2 MYA मतलब 2 मिया, ये भी ट्रिक है ना, ट्रिक को भी याद कर लो, MYA पूछ सकते हैं मे बी नीट में, नीट वाला का दिमाग सनका रहता है। And the first cellular forms of life forms appeared on the earth, and the mechanism of how non-cellular aggregates of giant micromolecules could evolve and into cell and membranes and envelop is not known, and some of these cell had to ability to release O2 under reaction। इसको भी याद कर लो, ज़्यादा बेटर होगा। हाँ, उसके बाद क्या है, could have been similar to light reaction in photosynthesis where water is split with the help of solar energy and captured and channelized by the appropriate light harvesting pigment. Slow single cell organism become multicellular life forms. Okay. By the time of 100 million years ago, invertebrate, ये MYA जो है इसका मतलब होता है millions years ago। okay, invertebrate were formed and active javeless fish probably evolved 350 years ago, मतलब ये कभी javeless fish जो कभी 350 साल पहले हुआ करता था। ओके, अभी नहीं है। सी विद a few plants exhibited probably and around 320 million years ago. We are told that the first organisms that had inhabited and land were plants, and they were widespread on land. And when animals invaded land, and fish with stout and strong finds could move on land and go back to the water. This was about 350 million years ago. And the 1918 fish couch by Southern happened, and the coelacanth, which has been couch extinct. Okay, hmm, and these animals called lobfill into the फर्स्ट एम्फीबियंस ओके। अब इसका भी फोटो ध्यान से देख लो, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, काफ़ी एग्जाम के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आएगा ये। इसका भरोसा नहीं है तो आप इसका फोटो खींचे रख लो, ज़्यादा रिस्क लेने का नहीं, समझे क्या। अब देखते हैं फर्स्ट एम्फीबियन लिव्ड ऑन द बोथ वाटर। पहला जो एम्फीबियन एम्फीबियन होता है क्या है, एम्फीबियन जो सब जगह रहता हो, ठीक है, मोस्ट जगह, मतलब पानी में रहता हो, जमीन में रहता हो। हाँ, there are no specimen and of these left with us. However, these are ancestor modern of the frogs and the salamanders, and the amphibians evolved into reptiles. They lay thick shelter which do not dry up in the unlike those of amphibians. Again, we only see their modern day and the descent, the turtle, tortoise, and the crocodile in the next 200 million years or so, reptiles of different. And shape and size dominated on the earth, and the giant fawns pteridophyte were present, but they all failed to form coal deposits slowly. Some of these lands reptiles went back to the water, evolved into a fish and like to reptile probably millions years ago. Ichthyosaurus and the land reptiles were of course dinosaurs. Okay, and the biggest of them, Tyrannosaurus Tyrannosaurus Rex, was about 20 feet height. Okay, and had a huge fearsome and dagger teeth, and about 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs suddenly disappeared and disappear from the earth, and we do not know the true reason of. Some say climatic change killed them, and some say most of them evolved into a bird, and the truth may lived in the between small sized reptiles of that era and still existing of today. The first mammal were shrew, and the fossil are small-sized. Mammals are viviparous and protected their unborn and young inside the mother's body. Mammals were intelligent and in sensing, avoiding the danger at least. When reptiles came down, mammals took over this earth, and there was in South American mammals resembling horse and a hippopotamus and bear, rabbits, etc. Due to the continent drift, and when South Asia joined North America, these edibles were overridden by the American fauna, and due to the same continental drift paused and mammals of Australia survived because of lack of competition from any other mammal, sorry. Okay, let us we forget some mammals live wholly in water. Whale, dolphin, and sea cows are some example. Evolution of horse, elephant, dog, etc. are the story of evolution. Okay, you will learn about this in higher classes. The most successful story is the evolution of the man with the language and skills, self consciousness. A rough sketch of the evolution of life forms and their times geologically scale and indicated in 7.9 and 7.10 figure. Okay, 7.9 figure, 7.9 origin and evolution of man. चलो देख लेते हैं आपसे। तो देखते हैं करीब जो बात है ये कम से कम 15 मिलियन ईयर्स पहले की। हाँ, about 50 years ago, the primates called Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus existing. They were hairy, walked like gorillas, chimpanzees. वो बिल्कुल गोरिल्ला चिंपैंजी को दिखते थे. Ramapithecus was more like uh, Dryopithecus, was more ape-like, and few fossil of man-like bone have been discovered Ethiopia and Tanzania. These were revealed and hominid and featured, leading to belief that the about 3 to 4 million ago, man-like primates walked to eastern Africa, and they were probably not taller than 4 feet, but walk upright. 2 million years ago, Australopithecus probably lived in the east. Uh, East African, and the evidence showed that within a stone weapons but essential at fruit, and some of bones among the bones and discovered were different. The creation was called first human-like beings and homid and homo habilis. Okay, उसके बाद हमारा आया था homo habilis. क्या आया था? Homo habilis. The brain capacities were between 650 to 800 BCC, 800 CCC. They probably did not eat meat, and fossil discovered and in Java in 1891 revealed, and in next stages in that is Homo erectus about 1.5 million years ago. Homo erectus had a large brain amount around 300 cc. अब आता है होमो इरेक्टस ईट मीट। होमो इरेक्टस था वो मीट खाता था, क्या खाता था? मीट खाता था। उसके देखा जाए देखा जाए तो मैन नीदर थल क्या बोलते हैं, निंदर थैल मैन विथ अ ब्रेन साइज ऑफ 1400 cc lived with earnest and Central Asian between 1 lakh to 40,000 years back. They hides and protect their bodies buried dead. Homo sapien moved across continent, developed and into a distinct races. During Ice Age between 75,000 to 10,000 years ago, a modern sapiens, Homo sapiens arises, and prehistoric cave art developed about 1800 years ago, 18,000 years ago. One such painting and by the prehistoric humans can be seen at the Bhimbedka rock shelter in Raisen district, Madhya Pradesh, and the agriculture came around the 10,000 years back, and the human settlement started. The rest of what happened is a part of human history of growth and the decline of civilization. Somebody, the origin of Earth can be understood only against the background and origin and universe, especially Earth. Most scientists believe that chemical evolution, formation of biomolecules, proceeds and appearance of the first cellular levels on the life forms. The subsequent events and as to the what happened to the first form of life and is a conjectured story based on the Darwin ideas of organic evolution by the nature selection and diversity of life forms on the earth has been changing over millions of years. It is generally believed the variation in a population result in a variable fitness and other phenomena like habitat fragmentation and genetic drift accentuate and these variation leading to appearance of a new species. Hence evolution homology is accounted by the idea of branching descent. So study of comparative autonomy fossil and the comparative biochemistry provides evidence for the evolution. And among the story of evolution of individual species, the story of evolution modern is not is most interesting, and they appear to be parallel evolution of human brain and the language. So guys, thanks for the watching video till the end. You are a part of neat journey, so please like, subscribe and more share. जितना हो सके इतना share करो. Bye bye, see you next video.